Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to the Path You Take is the Path You Make podcast. My name is Miriam, and today we're joined by our respected sister Sukina Jaffer, who's been an educator for over 30 years and has experience in both public and Islamic schools. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam, Sister Mariam. Thank you for having me here this morning. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you for joining us. To start off, can you tell us a little something about yourself?
Sure. So I'm a mother of 4 children, and now they're all adults. So that's been my lifelong passion to, be a mother. And alhamdulillah, I fulfilled that. And I think alongside that, I had the blessing of being an educator, not just to my own 4 children, but to many other children within our community. So I see that as a huge gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
What led you to get into teaching?
So at the beginning, it's a funny story because I always resisted becoming a teacher. My mother was a teacher, and I remember from a young age thinking, no, I'm not going to become a teacher. I'll probably become a doctor. Because I was always intrigued by nature and the human body and things like that. So I loved biology. But as life progresses, I realized that maybe teaching wasn't so bad. Maybe that was my calling. It was, I believe, and then when I reflect back into my childhood, I remember playing teacher, and I always with my friends, and I always wanted to be the teacher, and I always wanted them to be the students. So I thought, maybe there is some something to reflect on that about.
What's your typical day-to-day look like?
It's always exciting. It's always busy. It's never the same. No 2 days are the same. In the teaching profession, you come across obviously your students, that you are entrusted with, and everyone, everyone has sort of different days, ups and downs. So whether it's you're interacting with students, you're interacting with parents, you're interacting with colleagues. There's, every day is different in many aspects. And I think I enjoy that it's something, the unpredictability of what the day might look like.
If there's one thing you could change about your career, what would it be?
If I could change something about teaching, I think it's just slowing things down, being mindful of, what the end goal is, and working backwards. And sometimes I believe that, we get into any profession we get into, we often, we start at the beginning and we want to get to the end. And I think with any profession, including teaching, I think going back and realizing that what a wonderful profession it is, how many gifts I've received throughout this journey. And I think every profession, when we have the correct niyyah, and that it's to, work for the community and get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it doesn't become work. It becomes a passion. And I think that's where I've seen my journey.
That's a really good answer. Thank you. And seeing as you've been so many different types of teachers and educators, can you tell us about some of those roles and some teaching styles you've seen?
Sure. So I've had experience being a classroom teacher, and I think that's really important because that's the front lines of an educator. I've also been an administrator, and that's also a huge responsibility that I took very I took with great responsibility, but also with great humility to be entrusted with such an important position. I've always wanted to help learners, new English language learners. So recently, I've been given that opportunity in my late in my career to become an English language learner teacher, and I'm also working with students with special needs over the last 15 to 20 years, and that's been something that I've really found fulfilling when I can help students that may need a little extra help in achieving their learning objectives. And being in an Islamic school, the added, responsibility of ensuring that, we are within a God-centric environment that not only meets the academic needs of our learners, but it also meets the holistic needs, including the emotional, social, as well as the spiritual needs of our students.
Do you like that in your career, the opportunity to move into different roles as you see fit?
I love it, and I think it's a wonderful opportunity for even young people, considering a career in education. It's very flexible. It allows you to, go in different directions and really follow your passions. And it also allows you to travel the world. Being an educator, there's lots of opportunities if that's what someone's looking for, to be able to travel the world, teach in different places. But inshallah, always with the mindset of serving the ummah.
Yeah.
And I think you can do that within a community school, and you can do it elsewhere as well.
Yeah, exactly. Can you share something that's unique about your teaching style, something that stuck with you from the beginning till now?
I think one of the important things as a teacher, that I found very valuable is the connections that we make with the people that we encounter, and those strong relationships of trust, and just creating a safe environment for my students, but also creating an environment where it's okay to make mistakes.
Exactly.
Right? And so I think that is something that I've always tried to be mindful of and keep, try and create. But it's also the relationships we build with, other people that we interact with in the school day.
Mhm. Are there certain personalities that you find fit really well for teaching?
I think all personality types fit within the teaching realm, because our learners are all diverse. So when we're working with diverse learners, you need a different style, because I may not be able to connect with every single student, but somebody who might have a different, outlook, a different personality, a different approach, they may be able to reach other students that I wasn't able to reach. So I don't think there's a type. I think it's as long as a person is passionate about teaching, wants to make a difference in the lives of others, which is a huge goal in itself. So yeah, I don't think there is one type.
I really like your perspective on that. And seeing as you've done so much for the community and students, is there any ways that teaching has benefited you personally?
Alhamdulillah, I can't count the number of ways, being within, being amongst the community and watching our children grow, from being very timid and maybe not as confident, when I knew them, and then now years down the road, I'm seeing, strong Muslim, strong students, strong young adults. Some of them have even now become parents who are bringing their kids back into the community, into the Islamic schools. And so that it's sort of that whole full circle has been, so rewarding for me to see and experience that
That must
journey.
be really beautiful to watch.
It is, and it makes me a little makes me realize, I've been around doing this a while. No, but and it's been an honor every step of the way.
Have you found the flexibility of teaching as your career, especially while balancing your family life?
Mm-hmm. So that's a challenge. And you really have to have a family that supports you, because days can get crazy. Things can get busy. Things can come up unexpected. And it's having, a supportive family structure. The sacrifices I know my family has made to support me in doing my job well. And I think that's part of, something that I'm very blessed to have.
That makes a lot of sense. And have you found that there's any significant current issues with this field? Something that stood out to you?
Yeah, so there is, especially when we live in the Western world, there are certain issues that come up in the public systems. I think one of the things that I try and advocate for is, parents to understand what's going on, where they're sending their children, because and even in Islamic schools, I think it's important for parents to be involved in understanding where, sort of, what the philosophy of the schools are, what they are learning, being active in their children's education. I think all of those are key to seeing our students be successful.
Exactly. And have you found any ways that like the Islamic versus the Western perspectives tackle these problems?
Oh, very differently. I mean, there is no God in the public system.
Yeah.
And so that is such a huge, you know, it's such a huge difference. And when we are in an Islamic environment, everything is infused with taqwa and, the awareness of our journey in this world, that this is a temporary world. While when you look at the secular system, it's very individualistic.
Yeah.
It's all about now, me, as opposed to how we were created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to serve the ummah and to be part of a community, to help one another to flourish and, inshallah, together trek on the path towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
I like that. I think the Islamic perspective is much more big picture.
Alhamdulillah.
And in your 20 or 30 plus years of experience, what changes or trends have you noticed?
Alhamdulillah, we've seen a lot of differences. I think I remember myself when arriving to Canada, being 6 years old, being in a classroom, and I remember, there being a cross because Christianity was prevalent in the schools at the time. I remember, and to this day, I know the Lord's Prayer that we were all asked to recite every morning, and of course, in stark contrast to today. There is nothing. There is no God mentioned.
Yeah.
In fact, it's frowned upon, right?
Yeah.
In the secular, in the public schools right now. So that's been a big shift. The other shift I think I've seen, which is a positive, is that I think we are becoming more aware of our diverse learners that we have, and it's no longer a stigma. If there's a child that's struggling, and they're lagging some, they're lacking in certain skills perhaps, or they're having certain, perhaps it's due to trauma, childhood trauma. There's many reasons. Maybe it's because they can't see. It's simply that, they need glasses. So I think it's, being I think that inclusivity of our learners has become more prevalent and an important positive change that I've seen. So there's, I think parents are becoming more aware that to advocate for their child is actually helpful for the child, as opposed to trying to hide any, any learning challenges that they may have.
Have you seen any ways that people have made that accessible for students?
So I hope that, that's another thing that I would encourage parents, to look at. And especially if you are an educator, I think the type of environment you want to be in and the type of environment you want to create is one that appreciates that we all have certain skills, but yet we also have certain areas of growth. And I think encouraging that and not making it a detriment, but in fact, seeing all of our, all of us as being able to help one another in that journey.
Oh, and there's a question for Hadith, that a common one that goes, the ink of a scholar is more sacred than the blood of a martyr. How do you reflect on this Hadith?
It's such a deep, profound Hadith, and I think it's one that I think it's one that makes me realize how important the profession of teaching is, and that it's not just a job. It's something that, as even like the Holy Prophet said, that he was sent to mankind as a teacher, and so that is the profession of being a teacher is so beloved in the eyes of Allah. And even the Hadith that you just shared, it just makes me realize that what is it that I have to do to reach that status, that such high status of a shaheed? What in my life and what in my day-to-day interactions with my students and parents and students, parents, and colleagues will help me to would be in that same status as a shaheed.
Mm-hmm. And because we're all curious about it, what are some challenging aspects of your job?
What are some challenging aspects? I think it's more about, I don't know if it's necessarily challenging, but I think it's one that being able to have the entire school community aligned with a certain vision and where we want to go. And, and I know everyone comes from a different background, a different lens, So I don't see it as I don't see it as a difficulty. I just see it something that I'm mindful of, that I know that everyone comes from a different perspective. And so being patient, I think, is something that we need as educators, but also as human beings.
Can you tell us about your own personal vision that you see for education?
So again, I think right now with the challenges in the West and different ideologies that are impacting our kids, I think one of the most important things as a Muslim community is to realize this and really tackle it head on. It's not something that we can no longer wait and see. Our young generation is exposed to things that we that were unimaginable. Just a few decades ago, and so it's a different time that we live in. And I think being aware of what's happening in the greater society is something that I think is really really important that we all take accountability for, inshallah, and work collectively together.
Thank you. And have you had any moments that reminded you why you chose this profession?
Honestly, sometimes I think that I was guided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's a profession that I think changed me. I think I always think stop, and when I reflect back to how much I've gained from being a teacher as opposed to giving, it's really quite I'm quite humbled by it. I know that I'm not the person I was. And I think it's because being in an environment where I'm with children, and adults, it really gives perspective on many many important things in life and helps you to prioritize things that are important.
Oh, thank you. And finally, what's a piece of advice that you can leave us with?
Piece of advice. So anyone wanting to go into the teaching profession, we need teachers. And so my advice is, please, if you have, the aptitude to be in a profession that really raises the next generation of leaders, the next generation of strong Muslims, the next generation of change makers, the next generation of those who will follow in the footsteps of the Holy Prophet and his Ahlul Bayt. I think it's a collective responsibility of every person to help those who are looking into that profession, and guide them. And I hope that I can mentor anyone that's in thinking, and I can, inshallah, even just even those who may not be thinking about it. And I hope that they will take a moment to look into that profession, because it is very rewarding.
Thank you so much for all your beautiful answers today. And thank you for joining us, Sister Sukina, and taking time out of your summer to share your thoughts and experiences with us.
It's been my honor and pleasure. Thank you, Sister Mariam.
Thank you.